Faux hawk. All right, I got a faux hawk going. Look at that.
There you go.
Why? I have a faux hawk going because up until this minute, the Metropolitans have been a faux hawk for most.
Oh, they have.
But before we get going, let me introduce ourselves because it's been a while. This is an emergency podcast system with none other than Jet Steve Wisegal.
Broadway Blanchard with the faux hawk.
Faux hawk going. And thank you to our new
sponsor,
Prescription Choice, Physician's Choice. Sorry, Physician's Choice. 60 billion probiotics. I had to go upscale to get them to sponsor us because this is 60 billion CFUs. This isn't the 40 billion or the 90. This is the magic number that everyone now has come up with. 60 billion is the power. 60. And as we all know, since this one is doctor approved formula, it's got to work because
it's been approved by a doctor.
Remember what a CFU is. I hope you do.
Yes.
I don't.
Yeah, it's a cellular forming unit.
60 billion of them right here. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because the Mets are giving you agita.
Too much agita to even count the number. Okay? That's the agita I'm getting from the Metropolitans today. What I will say is I mentioned in our last podcast, which was prior to June 3rd, that June 3rd was the day that all things would change.
I don't know if that was on the podcast, but it was definitely off the air conversation I can vouch for.
Okay. I think it was on the podcast. We can check the tapes and roll them. And
let's just roll with it.
Let's roll. It was there.
Sure.
Because June 3rd was the day, okay, that we got the information that Alvarez was coming back, was with the team. He has since come back, made a big difference. June 3rd was also the day when rejoining the team, but not yet pitching, was one Eric Diaz. I knew that from prior or something like that. It was close enough. Okay.
Edwin.
Who's that?
The pitcher. Eric Diaz is a hitting coach. But go ahead.
Well, Eric Diaz doesn't have anything to do with this conversation.
No.
Edberg Diaz is the one. Edwin Diaz is the
Pretty
one.
soon you're going to call him Edmund Diaz.
Big Ed. Edwin. ED, as they call him. Okay?
Yeah.
ED has come back and in the past two nights looked like 2021 ED.
I would say last night he did.
Yeah.
The night before.
Last night, he gave up the hit, which he used to do once in a while, and then he would turn around like DeGrominator and just annihilate the next three.
Yeah, I think last night, the hit that he gave up, and Keith was noting this, he was throwing a lot of sliders, but they were kind of spinning and hanging in the zone.
He didn't like that.
And he didn't like it. And that's how the guy got the hit, but he adjusted and looked like Diaz of 2022.
And two pitches in particular. He was 2-2 on, I think it was
the last guy, Cronenworth.
He was 2-2, and they couldn't figure out which way he was going to throw, and he threw that slider, and it stayed in the zone for about 52 feet, and then went whoops.
Yep.
And he looked silly.
Yeah.
Another time he threw it. It looked like it was a slider, but it was coming up. It was one of his 101-mile-an-hour fastballs, which, by the way, he hadn't hit 100 yet.
Yeah, he hit 100 last night. That was nice. I think more importantly was the way he pitched. You could tell the confidence that he was carrying.
That was different. And I took a bunch.
I bet you did.
Newly formed formula by Physician's Choice, the obvious medical preferred probiotic. Obviously. And the reason that I took them was up until last night, him stepping to the mound caused much agita.
Yeah, I mean, the win he got the night before
Helped him.
He didn't look like the guy that we saw last night. And I
He
think
looked like he was getting it, but not there.
he wasn't
He
there.
looked like this,
Confidence level.
teetering. Now,
Confidence level.
wow, that's something else. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Wow.
He you could tell the difference in his demeanor and his self-confidence last night was huge, but he did something last night that he almost never does when he gets the final out. And that's how much it meant to him, was he exploded and started, turned to the dugout, but was like, yeah, which he never does.
But
ever.
He probably won't do it again.
And he probably won't do it again.
He wanted to test. Was he back? He was. Alvarez came flying out to him, hugged him. They all came over to him. Because
Monkey was off his back.
He didn't get his name Sugar because he was so sweet as a pitcher. He got his name Sugar because everyone loves the guy.
Well, however he got it, you could see the 1,200-pound monkey falling off his back.
Okay, so let's stay on the Metropolitans now. We are only We are only 3 games out of the wild card. Fortunately for the New York Metropolitans, there aren't many people playing above 500 in the entire major leagues. Let alone,
what are we, 6 under 500?
6 now, yeah. And we're since June 3rd, we're 7-2, which is not bad.
Wait a minute. I'll give it one better.
Let me hear.
We are undefeated since the McDonald's grimace threw out the first pitch.
And who's that?
The McDonald's grimace. Don't you remember the grimace from McDonald's? That big purple thing?
Big purple thing. That guy threw out the first
pitch. 3 days ago, he threw out the first pitch.
Undefeated. That's the way it works. Okay? You don't grimace when you're a Metropolitan fan. You may grieve a little bit every once in a while.
Let me just tell you something. 4 friggin' hits last night. That's it.
That's it. Well, that's coming to my next my next point here is, listen, we are playing better defense. With Diaz back, the bullpen looks like a different bullpen. Even before we knew he was strong, when he was just back in there, the way that they set up for it, the confidence that he gives you, we feel better. They have been lights out again, like they were for the first month, and then turned into something I never saw before, and now they're back. We got that. Martinez looks like who we paid for. I mean, I gave him a break because he didn't start the season until May, right? In the middle of May. Yeah. Now he looks like his spring season warm-ups are over. This guy hits the ball everywhere. And here's what he does that one of our guys does not do. Okay. Lindor's been hitting over 300 for 3 straight weeks now. He's only up to 230, but when you figure he was batting 150, that's not bad. Okay. He's got 11 home runs and 32 RBIs leading the team. He's in the leadoff spot. I like him in the leadoff spot because he gets pitches right off the game and he spits on those that are bad because he knows what his job as the leadoff guy is, to see as many pitches as he can. And he's doing that. So that helps him because he's not fishing. We got him. Nimmo, who is not hitting for average yet, is playing great defense, as he always does, is playing awesome on the bases. And let me tell you something. He's still clutch. He's still getting hits when he needs to get hits. He's second on the team in RBIs. And he's been in either leadoff spot or second spot the whole team. He's second on the team. He's got 31 RBIs behind Lindor. Ahead of who I'm going to mention next, Alonso.
Big disappointment.
Alonso is now 1/3 of the season. He's got a respectable 14 home runs, but is that respectable for Alonso? No.
More importantly,
got a respectable 30 RBIs. Is that respectable for? Certainly not. He usually has 45 to 50 RBIs at this point, and we're thinking, hey, he could have 130 RBIs. He could have 140 RBIs, and he has. This is what bothers me.
He's on pace for about 90.
That's what I'm saying. He had an offer up there last year, before the season started.
I don't, you know what? You can describe that. I'm going to look it up while we're on the air here because
Go ahead
and
and
I'm
look
going
it
to
up.
put
He
my
had
readers
an
on to
offer.
find this. I don't think he had an offer.
If I'm not mistaken, it was an extension of about $170 million for 4 years, something like
I
that.
don't think so. I'm
It
going to look
made
it
him
up.
the
You go
highest
ahead.
played. It made him the second or third highest player in the league for the next 3 or 4 years. It wasn't a long.
Here you go. Mets offered Pete Alonso a 7-year, $158 million
There you
contract.
go. That's exactly what I just said.
Well, no
Okay.
wonder he turned it down.
Okay, 7 years, 158, right? Which is approximately 23.5 million dollars a year.
No wonder he turned it down.
Okay, but that was the offer. They didn't even go to the table to talk about it. You know, they would come to 200. And here's the thing. Back then, it looked smart. They didn't want to get into an argument. They didn't give him a good enough argument thing. He turned down. Well, I'm going to tell you something. He might not get that much now.
He will.
I don't know. He does
Let's
not
put
look.
it this way. Would you rather have Matt Olson, the first baseman for the Atlanta Braves, or Pete Alonso?
I mean, I'm going to say Alonso because I love Alonso, but I don't think many other people say that.
Well, I got news for you. That's a $168 million deal that Olson got, and I think it was.
Yeah, but he was going to
Not
get
100% sure. I think it was less years.
Get more money than that. I'm sorry, he was going to get more money than that. That was just an opening offer. They didn't even go to the table. They just
bottom line is
down and said we're not negotiating.
Bottom line is that's not even an offer. It's like saying, "Look, we're making you an offer." That's like walking into the Range Rover, looking at $150,000 car, and say, "I'm going to make you an offer. I'm going to give you $75,000 cash for that car right now."
I would do that.
It's not an offer.
I would do that. I would make that offer. Of
course you would.
And I would I would come with the checkbook.
Even better. Point is,
right. Okay.
He's not playing.
He's not playing up to $200 million, which is where we would start the conversation.
He probably wanted, knowing his agent, Scott Boras, he's probably thinking somewhere around.
Yeah, which is absurd. But he's not getting. What I'm telling you is that he's not getting that now. He should have gone into negotiations then and said and he didn't.
He bet on himself. That's okay.
Bet on himself, and I'm going to tell you something. He looks completely freaking lost. It's like when he hits one out, he's almost surprised.
Yeah.
Whereas when he hits it hard the opposite field, he's like, oh, it's like that was dime a dozen for him. And he's fishing. It's not one thing. He's fishing. When he's not fishing, he's not swinging at pitches right down the middle. When he's not swinging at pitches right down the middle, he's swinging at pitches in the dirt. He's just not. He's trying to pull everything.
You see his last at bat last night? His last at bat?
It was horrible.
Horrible.
He never had a chance. He was up against, it wasn't like I was thinking the other guy got a hit on him too. And let me tell you something. The other guy that's been a disappointment is showing signs of improvement, which is McNeil. He's trying different things. He's arranging. He's never stopped playing lights out defense.
Right.
Everywhere. He saved the game last night. That play would have been a run scored. Tie game, and then you know what happens. They all get mopey, and it's over. So that whole thing. Now, I will say that Pete Alonso has been better as a defensive first baseman than he has as an offensive first baseman this year.
Unfortunately, that's not what gets you the money.
And, it's like if you're a defensive first baseman, but you're Keith Hernandez, that's one thing because you're saving monies all over the place. You can afford a slump, although he had very few. Keith, he never was in a slump like this.
Keith, the only slump Keith had was the last 2 years of his career when he should have just known better.
Yeah, he was finished. He was broken back.
Done.
Broken knee. He should have finished.
Keith's 30.
And still hit, he still hit 260, 270. He didn't hit 220.
Yeah.
He just ruined his 300. He ended up with lifetime 288, 298 0.7 or 6 or something.
It's because he
because
played 2 years longer than he
2
should
years
have.
at 260. Otherwise had a 310 average his career.
But he is in his prime and he is pressing.
I
And he's
think
lost.
that alone is what's keeping him from going to the Hall of Fame, which is the most disgusting thing of anybody left out of the Hall of Fame. I don't think there's anyone worse than him.
True.
For 10 years, you could argue 11. He was the best first baseman in baseball, and there was no argument. And
11, he has 11 gold gloves
11.
in a row.
And Mattingly was there during that time.
He had 11 gold gloves in a row.
And
up until was a 300
and hit
career
300
hitter
the whole time. And has 250 plus homers.
That's the thing. These guys, they're so in love with the freaking long ball. It's ridiculous.
But he has 200 plus homers. I think 254 or something. And he has 2,000 RBIs.
They look at home
hits.
runs. It's stupid.
Really? Because I think an RBI counts as much as a home run. What do you think of that?
More.
That's
RBIs are more important than home runs.
RBI is the most important. You could say that's why I'm saying that Nimmo, okay, he hasn't been hitting for average, but when it counts, he's been putting people across the plate.
He has, but man, he's been chasing some stupid freaking
but not the last few weeks. So here's my prediction. The New York Metropolitans from June 3rd, which we talked about, till September 28th.
Okay.
Till October 3rd. From June 3rd till October 3rd, which is probably the end of the baseball season, will carry the best record in baseball.
No.
You didn't see me say they'll make the wild card. They will carry the best record in baseball. And come September 10, they will be within striking distance of the Phillies. The Braves are going to fall apart.
They already have.
But completely fall apart. And
they lost 9 out of 10 games.
Yeah, they're done. Okay.
Once Acuna went down, their balloon deflated.
Now, I'm telling you who will come up from the minor leagues. Christian Scott will come back.
Oh, yeah, he's coming back.
And he will have an awesome remainder of
The question is, what do they do with him? Because now Peterson's been pitching well. McGill's been pitching well.
I think they make him the long reliever to get him to play up here.
Maybe.
I know that kind of like affects his thing, but if they say, listen, it's not that you're not a starter, you are a starter, but we don't have a guy that we feel comfortable with because Tyler McGill has got to start now. Peterson has got to start. Quintana has got to start.
I unfortunately, I think he's a victim
Severino looks like an ace.
I think, unfortunately, he's a victim of they paid Quintana a ton of money. He has to keep playing.
So Quintana's there. Who's the other guy?
Well, that's 6.
Minaya.
And then Senga comes back.
Sean Minaya has figured. The only one who still sucks is Hauser.
They put him in middle relief.
They did. So maybe they make him the 6th starter, Christian Scott. Maybe
Senga's coming back.
Yeah, when is he coming back? Have you heard anything?
Yeah, last I heard was July.
Well, he's up here hanging around, jumping up and down.
He was in the dugout.
He's in the
jumping
dugout.
over the fence.
That's good news to me. All right, so that's what we're saying. So you and I agree, the Metropolitans are the best team in baseball right now.
Right now, for the past 6 days, they're the best. They're the best team in baseball.
That's what I needed to hear. You know what? That's why. Because I sent, and they didn't even know this, I sent the whole Metropolitan Big Show locker room.
Yeah.
One of these each on June 2nd.
Oh, there you go.
June 3rd, they started taking them.
There you go.
60 billion probiotics.
I don't know if Pete got his.
Pete apparently didn't open his locker because he was moping.
Didn't open his locker. It's sitting on the shelf.
Didn't still.
You know what it is?
Word has it that Lindor has moved it in eyesight for today's game. So let's see. Okay. Let's move on because we don't have a lot of time this
We
morning.
don't have a lot of time.
I need a change of scenery.
Yeah. So
Okay, now I'm mess up here.
the New York Football Jets.
Thank you. Jets. Jets.
So
You know what?
Joe Douglas went out and got arguably the two best offensive lineman free agents that were available.
That's
Granted, they're in their 30s. They haven't played full seasons, but nonetheless, a massive upgrade from what we had. Then he went ahead and he drafted arguably the second best tackle in the draft.
You know, more people think number one.
But arguably number
right. They had him
right?
as the number 2 best, but people are saying this guy is the number 1 best.
He could be, but more people are saying, is he 2?
Here's
is he
what
3?
I'm comfortable with.
That said,
he's not going to start the opening game.
We don't want him to.
No,
you don't want him to.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
but somewhere along the way, one of those tackles is going to miss a game or 2.
Oh, or 3 or 4. And that's fine.
And guess who's coming in?
Olu. So Olu Fashanu, Penn State University.
Phones are ringing off the hook, by the way. They were answered.
We have mini camp. We have voluntary camp. And for the second straight year in a row, this year off of Achilles injury, 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers shows up for voluntary mini camp.
The whole thing,
which he hadn't done in 5 years in Green Bay.
Plays every play.
Right? Then apparently he made plans and that was going to miss the mandatory mini camp, which,
Here's
by the way,
problem. He told them that before
3 days.
It's
3 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's his mistake.
It's 3 days.
He told them that beforehand.
Right? So he makes these plans. I'm not going to be there for the mandatory 3 days. And the Jets are like, look, dude, we're going to have to fine you because we can't make it look like you're getting special treatment. Because then everybody's going, oh.
Nobody thinks he's getting special treatment.
No. If they didn't fine him, it would be like he's getting special treatment, which is fine. I get that. And I'm sure he understood that too. Here's my problem. And nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers, by the way.
That's right. That's where I was getting at. Okay, good.
This is the fault of our head coach, who I like, who still is gifted going into his 4th season of shoving his foot right down his throat. All he had to say was, hey, reporters go, where was Aaron? Wasn't here today. Well, he let us know in advance. We knew he wasn't going to be here. So we'd like to have him here. We knew in advance he's not going to be here. So there's that. Now, and then move on.
He let us know 2 months ago.
Yeah, but it basically told us he wasn't going to be here, not injury related. So we know that. The team knows that. It's fine. Now, Hassan Reddick, and that's it. Move on. But instead,
it's a good time to get Tyrod Taylor some reps.
But instead, he goes, he's not going to be here. Pause. Let me get my foot right here. Get my foot. And it's an unexcused absence.
What? And he's being fined. Come on.
Unexcused. Why?
Yeah.
Just why?
Because he's coward. No, he displays fear a lot, this guy.
Salah?
Salah.
I don't think it's fear.
Not on the way he coaches. Again,
I don't think it's fear.
Oh, he does. When it comes to answering certain temperamental questions, he's like afraid to just say, this is what we did. This is it. Sorry.
Well, I don't think it's fear. Maybe it's fear, but I think it's lack of conviction and confidence in his ability to tell the press in a nice way, F off, shut the F up. Next question.
This is our decision. We made it. It's over. We're dealing with it. Bang.
Here's his issue.
Rodgers will be here for the beginning of the camp.
I think Salah I think the problem with Salah is, and this is an impossibility. He wants to be liked by everybody.
Yeah. He's
So
got
he just
that.
is like, well, and it's an unexcused
He's got the want to be liked
And
syndrome.
it's like, dude, if he had said nothing, goes away.
You
So
know why?
now, because
I didn't send him.
no.
His stomach
Now
was probably
because,
turning. His stomach was probably turning.
yeah, oh, 100% turning.
I take some of the blame.
100% turning.
He will have a bottle.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but
right now there's nothing to talk about.
nothing.
So they're beating it up.
Except that I will say something. They're saying that the Gibson looks like a speed bandit, Xavier Gibson.
It's OTAs. It's mini camp. Doesn't mean
I know,
diddly do.
but it's still something. And the guy Malachi McCooley.
Malachi Corley.
It's Malachi Corley?
Yeah.
McCooley, Cooley.
No, Corley, like a core with a Lee.
They're saying that he is absolutely the Yak King.
Look.
Now I know they can't tackle, but
it's mini camp. It doesn't mean squat.
Right.
But the good news is Aaron Rodgers hasn't hurt himself. So there you go.
And have you watched some of the clips of his throws?
Oh, his throws are still. It's shorts. I want to see those. Here's what I want.
He threw a 50-yard bomb to Garrett Wilson. He didn't take a step.
Let me say,
flat foot.
Hold on. A year ago, we went to camp live. Mini camp live.
We did.
He was making the same throws.
Yeah, he was.
My issue is, can he last more than the 75 flipping seconds he did of a year ago?
Yes, because we have what we did not have last year, an offensive line that's not offensive.
Hope so.
On paper, maybe the best offensive line in the game.
Yeah, but paper doesn't play on Sundays.
Okay, so let's see how they play.
Okay.
Here's the other guy. Let me just tell you that they thinking is really good. That running back we picked up.
Oh, the kid from Wisconsin?
Yeah, they're saying.
Yeah, Braylon Allen.
He's
pretty good.
This kid, and I'll tell you, Duca's son went to Wisconsin for 4 years. Okay. Just graduated.
So he's seen him play.
Watch this kid. He said he's seen him 25 times. He said, you have no idea what we got. This guy he carries people on his back. He runs over people. He runs around people. He's something else. I'm telling you.
This is the guy.
And it's Big Ten, so it's not shit.
No. So in my estimation, this is when they get in the red zone, let's save Breece Hall some miles on the odometer, get this kid in.
That's right.
And try to slam it in with the big kid.
And maybe leave both of them in there. Let Breece Hall run a pass route. Let this guy look like he's going to run it up the middle, take a block, and throw it to Breece Hall. You got that plan now. Of course, you got Hackett, although apparently someone else was calling plays a couple days. Taylor Hackford.
Taylor Hackford, the director, is calling plays.
He was calling plays.
Huh? I'll say this.
They were very creative too.
Aaron Rodgers, God forbid if he goes down and we're stuck with Paul Hackett calling plays again.
But Tyrod Taylor is a legitimate backup.
No, he's a legit backup.
He's a legitimate backup. I would say he's a top 25 quarterback in the NFL, and he's our backup.
Yeah, probably number 25, but still.
Whereas we had 41, 42, and 43 last year.
Oh my.
And you could say we had 51, 52, and 53 because probably the guys on the practice squad on another team were better fit than the guys who were coming in for us.
Well, yeah. But the good news is Aaron's healthy. Tyrod Taylor's a legit backup. The kid from Florida State, who's very athletic, super athletic, doesn't have to do anything except learn and run scout team.
That's right.
Beautiful.
It's great. Now,
So, do you have a pearl of wisdom?
I do. It's a good one. I do want to side mention the New York Knickerbockers and the New York Rangers for their fabulous seasons. You can't say enough about the guts, the grit, and the moxie of the Knicks team as a whole, playing through injury after injury after injury. There's no question in my mind that had we not lost Brunson at the end, or and for the second half of the game, or had not lost really basically Hart too, because he couldn't stand up and he was still playing. Every other starter we started with in the beginning of the year, we would have been in the finals, and I think we would have taken out Boston. It's a conference final. I think we would have taken out Boston.
No.
They're going to win it, and they deserve it, but it shows you how good we were. That's one. Number two, Rangers choked at the very end. They just choked. They all of a sudden couldn't score a goal. They've been great all year long. They'd come back. They were the most comeback. That's it. They choked, but they also are on the rise up. So both of them will be back. I feel good about it. It's a good time for sports in New York, which leads me to the Pearl of Wisdom.
Pearl of wisdom.
Which begins with the new sponsor.
Right.
60 billion
CFUs.
Okay. Cellular factual attendance. That's something like that. The point being is, if you want to be able to advance in life, you take your healthy supplements, you eat right, you do your exercises, you make sure some of it is yoga, some of it is some kind of cardiovascular thing, and some of it is meditation. The yoga would cover that. So you're good. You take these. Then you realize there are dark days. There are dark days in every man and woman's life, because we revolve around the sun. That does not revolve around us. So as we revolve and move around the sun and turn our face to the universe, it's dark. But people don't get scared because of the revolve of the dark. People get scared because of the unknown. We're going into this season with an unknown factor in the New York Jets. Will we be healthy? Can we stand up this line? Can this line stand up to 17 games and still keep Mr. Aaron Rodgers upright? Well, you could go into life that way. You could get up in the morning and say, I don't really want to face my boss because he might say no. I don't want to go ask that girl out that I was going to ask out as a senior because she could say no. And it could rain too. You know what rain does?
Grows flowers.
Brings change.
Brings change.
Brings change. You know what facing your fear does? So that you play without fear, so that you live life without fear. Listen, we are all going, regardless of everyone's religion and beliefs and everything that we seem to fight about still thousands of years later, which is absurd.
We are not immortal.
We are not immortal. And probably whatever happens to you happens to me. Logically, that's it. You could follow the laws of being good because
you should.
Because that's living life without fear. The only reason you hate someone else is because you fear what they have or do not have that you have or not. And that's it. So stop that. Get up in the morning.
Yeah.
Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm going to be the best me today. And the best me today means if I see someone who needs help, I'm going to help them. If I see someone that seems to be jubilant and excited about something, I'm going to find out why and not be jealous of that. Say, oh man, I got to get me some of that. However you do, not by taking someone else's. Yeah. So what do? We live life fearless, which then allows us to live life in cheer, in goodness, in kindness. Is that so difficult?
Apparently,
So take your probiotics.
take your
Eat
probiotics.
right, and stop the fear.
Yeah.
We don't like it. We
You know
don't
what, though?
want it. It doesn't look good on you or anybody else.
Don't live in fear, but by the same token, you can use the fear as your fuel to move forward.
Thank you. That's what you do. You take it. You don't go up to the edge of a bridge, look over the bridge and say, you know what? There's rocks down there. That's pretty scary, but I can land on those rocks safely. That's stupidity. Okay. But you can go up there, look over the edge and say, you know what? Just by being here, looking down, I realize there's all kinds of confusion in life. I'm not afraid of it. I know this is not the one point that I need to leap forward. I need to take a step to the side, but not out of fear, out of intelligence, out of heart, baby. So as I will say one time, you got to have heart.
Miles and miles.
Heart.
Miles.
Miles and miles and miles of heart.
Very good.
That's the pearl of wisdom today.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Good to be back. Hopefully the next time we won't have such a hiatus in between.
I agree.
And if you could figure out where the stop record button is on this, that's Broadway Blanchard over there.
And
Jet Steve over here.
Wise gal. And we are
see you next time.